We've been talking all morning about the anniversary of the March on Washington. It was the largest demonstration for social change that America had ever seen at the time. CBS News cultural correspondent Wynton Marsalis offers an essay on the messages of that historic day and a commentary on where we are as a country half a century later.
"50 years ago today, 250,000 Americans gathered on the mall of the nation's capital to peacefully request social and economic equality for our most oppressed group of citizens, the American Negro. Tell me how we got over." More than 25 people from all walks of life spoke, played, and sang that day. Read the message far and near. In an impressive tapestry of national leadership mobilized for jobs and freedom, and for redemption of the national soul. The convener of the march, 74-year-old A. Philip Randolph, spoke first. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., 34, the charismatic focal point of the civil rights movement, spoke last.
I have a dream.
Dr. King's oration was, upon delivery, a recognized masterpiece.
This nation will rise up.
Over time,
my 4 little children.
These words have become so well known that the march itself is reduced to one man's dream.
I have a dream today.
In fact, it was much, much more. That day, everybody had a dream.
We will sit in and we will kneel in and we will lie in if necessary,
so that every American can have a job.
This civil rights revolution is not confined to the Negro.
Our march is a march for America.
Oh yes, the march inspired a moral victory with broad social implications, but it provided no directives for tangible economic parity. And with the passage of time, a moral force without concrete works dies on the vine. How many of us today know that it was called the March on Washington for jobs and freedom? I sure didn't. And it is now clear that poor and working class citizens need to be an integral part of our economic system. This necessity transcends race. Race is a matter of physiology. Discrimination is a matter of culture, and culture shapes public perception, which influences political action. Somewhere in the mid-1970s, I began to notice black and white artists stereotyping black people as criminals, pimps, and drug dealers, and gradually adding more and more misogyny and violence in movies, videos, and recording after recording. The constant glorification and reselling of this debauched imagery has corrupted both blacks and whites' understanding of Black America. Unfortunately, that shapes current public opinion much more than the memory of Dr. King's dream. Following the success of civil rights legislation, many black Americans erroneously thought that the election of mayors with their same skin color would lead to an increasing economic prosperity. Even the electing of a non-white president was misconstrued as the culmination of the civil rights movement. Let's examine the unemployment, incarceration, and education statistics for the black and white poor. These sobering facts compel us to act on the collective dream expressed 50 years ago. A sustainable victory for equality and employment will not come through a prophet, a president, or even the law. It must be the will and actions of the people, all the time.
I have a dream today.
Dr. King ended the march triumphantly. His "I have a dream" refrain is rightfully known by all.
For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today,
but my favorite phrase drives home a profound human fundamental enacted by everyone in attendance that day. We cannot walk alone.
We cannot walk alone.
When we walk together, we are an infinite resource and can create unimagined possibilities. Separate, we're opposing tribes fighting over what we mistakenly perceive as never enough. Today is the perfect day to begin harvesting the endless promise in our way of life. Well, it was invested 50 years ago on the mall of our nation's capital by a mosaic of high-minded leaders and 250,000 engaged activists. Let's walk together to claim our inheritance. It's out here for us.
Well,
Beautifully done, Wynton Marsalis.
really nicely done.
You were a little boy at the time.
I was.
How old were you?
2.
2 years old. So as you sit here now in your early 50s, what strikes you most as you look back?
I think the change from a social standpoint, I grew up basically in segregation. My parents grew up in segregation. My father couldn't ride on the front of a bus until he was 26 or 27 years old. I'm from the deep South, Kenner, Louisiana, Breaux Bridge. Everything was segregated, and I've lived a very integrated life. And I think socially the nation has changed a lot, but a lot of my friends are the people who really grew up at the near bottom of the society. Many in jail for specious reasons with the war on drugs and all these different things that are done to kind of create a situation for black people to continue to be disadvantaged. So
I always like it, Wynton Marsalis. When you come, you need to come back more often. Good
Thanks,
to see
man.
you.